Okay, here's where the show starts. The show starts now. Okay, you made it. It's another week. We did it. Welcome back to Sonic Weekly, your show that releases every 7 days or so and talks about the blue blur, the savior, Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm Grant. I'm not alone. Here are my fellow co-hosts. He is the director, once and future, of all discourse related to the Sega Saturn hardware system online from the Rings of Saturn blog. It's Bo. Hi, Bo.
Here we go, buddy. Hey, we are nailing this intro.
Really not a single problem. And speaking of no problems, it's the king of being unproblematic because he's great. He's out of the shadows and into the spotlight. What a horrible intro for David the Lurker.
Yeah, just a little bit. Hi, Grant. Hi, Bo.
I said you were not problematic.
You were not right, but usually I feel like when people go, wow, that person's not problematic, it's because you then go, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Right, so you should change it right now.
Okay, well, here he is. He's the least problematic person I know, as far as anybody goes. I mean, who doesn't have a problem of some kind? But David the Lurker is really a stand-up guy, and we're happy that he's the star of the show. Hi, David.
Oh, hi, Grant. Hi, Bo. I don't know if you're keeping both of those in, even though I've said that, so now you have to.
Keep both takes. Hey, guess what? Guess who's back on the show? Do you know?
Is it me?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Cybershell. Thanks for sitting through all of that.
What's up, guys? I'm always happy to chat about the old blue hog himself. Although maybe it's time we throw Sonic in the trash and we only talk about Shadow. It's gonna be about Shadow the Hedgehog podcast. Just Shadow time.
Yeah.
Just Shadow.
That's the new direction for the franchise. Is Year of Shadow, right? So that's where we're pivoting to.
Do you think like Thimble Theater fans got mad when Popeye took over the whole thing?
I mean, this has been happening through media for like forever, since like, Urkel and Family Matters. There's always one breakout character. Even the Fonz was, I don't know if he's ostensibly the main character, but it's time to accept Sonic is outdated. Kids just want to see Shadow. Sonic can still live as Sonic.exe. He can live as that.
Yeah.
Right. I wonder, what was the first mention of Steve Urkel on the internet? This is important. Urkel, it's Urkel, right? Okay.
Well, unless you're talking about Stefan Urkel, in which case it would be Urquelleigh. Boy, I really, at the end there, I lost all confidence.
I mean, that's the ultimate career path, is you become the breakout star, and then they tap you to voice Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's basically, as everyone knows, that's the peak of your career. It's always going to be downhill from there. So I feel bad for Ben Schwartz after the next movie comes out. Who knows? Because once you're done being the voice of Sonic, it's over.
Yeah, if you go on Jaleel White's cameo page, he doesn't mention that he was the voice of Urkel.
He knows who's paying for those fucking cameos.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see. The first mention of the word Urkel on Usenet is a beer that was available in Japan. Sounds good. Urkel, it's right. Pilsner. I think Pilsner Urkel is the best beer I can buy so far in Japan. The cost is 250 yen per 350 milliliter bottle. So expensive.
Do we have Japanese tourist beer enthusiasts sharing their vast wealth of information with the internet? Now look at it. Now it's just social media nonsense. You'd have to pay to get the best beers in Japan recommended to you by some guy.
Right. That's and then somebody on July 10th, 1991 on rec.humor, subject line, let's make a ... And then the post says, let's make like an atom and split. Thanks to Steve Urkel, Jaleel White, for telling me this. He, snort, snort. No replies.
That's just what the internet was like. If you think that's weird, you missed out on what it was like before they even invented the concept of irony. Everyone was just unironically being on the internet, posting their beer recs and getting jokes from they heard on TV, and it was awesome.
Right. Well, Cybershell, what's your favorite beer, Japanese or otherwise?
I guess, isn't there like a Sapporo beer or something? There's one I'm always seeing in the animes. I remember I tried, that was okay. I I'm not the biggest beer head, to be honest, but I did drink a good amount of it in my earlier years. But I've sort of been like, okay, that was fun.
Yeah.
But if obviously, if they made a Sonic beer, I'd have to drink it. People would say they wouldn't do that. It was like they've leased out Sonic to like gambling slot machines. What's a beer? Who gives a shit? Sorry, but can I swear I forget Sonic? If that's chill or not?
Yes, you can. And also, I think that they could. I mean, Shadow might be the beer mascot.
Exactly. Everything
like,
that you can't
Sonic
do with Sonic, you can do with Shadow. Guns.
Exactly. Yeah.
A choose your own adventure story with 300 different routes through it. Everything.
Well, we're definitely glad that you're back to hang out and chat with us. Although when we were thinking about having you back at this date, we thought there was going to be more to talk about. We assumed
there'd be like a news
the
drop,
trailer,
right, on the
or
birthday,
the news drop, or like something at the birthday. But
I always forget about that shit, and I'm always like, I never expect anything for the birthdays. Sometimes it's awesome, sometimes I'll hit you with something, but like, I mean, it would have made sense. I totally agree with you there, but like, I don't know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think they realize they're never going to top the ridiculous party hat and music and on-screen banners from the DLC last year.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh god, that was last year. It feels like it was like 7 years ago, right?
Well, I just mean with the trailer specifically, movie 3. I mean, like, it doesn't come out till December,
right?
So
I guess that is kind of
we haven't seen the trailer. Yeah, exactly. But the fans, at least on Twitter, have continued to like set themselves up for disappointment by being like, "Oh, it's coming. It's going to come this week." And like, I feel like since March, every week.
Yeah, people try to be like leaking like the trailer's coming, guys. I promise. It's like I just try to ignore that until it's like, oh, it's right in front of me. You know what I mean? I would love to see it right when it drops, obviously, but like, I don't know. Well, that's what the social media accounts do now. They have to post like trailers. Like in 5 days, the trailer is coming. The trailer for the trailer. Now we guys got speculating. I can't wait for the trailer for the trailer. That's going to be the best part.
Trailers for trailers are the best trailers. I mean, we haven't seen a trailer, but I guess we have seen Shadow.
Yeah, I was just saying, I guess they've been mostly focusing on the Sonic X Shadow Generations marketing stuff. I guess I could have maybe expected a little something. I don't know. I guess it hasn't been that long since we got that trailer for it.
Oh, we didn't talk about the Shadow motorcycle that's going on tour. Do you guys remember this?
Oh, yeah, I saw some pictures of that. Right. Yeah, I saw some pictures of that. That's pretty cool.
Was that like a golf tournament?
Yes, there was a golf tournament, and the Shadow motorcycle's there. Sonic's there. You know, because Sonic is very well known for his golf.
I just really wonder how it's like, that's such a weird thing to have set up, and someone had to like have the idea of like, let's tour the motorcycle around. And, you know, golfers love Sonic, and there's going to be a huge, like, there's going to be so many rich golfers who see this and then go, I have to like buy this movie for my theater chain to play. I don't know. It's just like some kind of 4D chess they're trying to play.
Yeah, it is weird because when Sonic Generations came out, they did that what was it called? It was that skateboard competition, and it was all Sonic Generations. I remember sitting in a bar and watching it and going, "Why is Sonic on the TV?" I'm drinking, but I wasn't drinking any Japanese beer. But at least like Sonic skateboarding, those are both cool, right? Sonic has skateboard. He skateboards in that game.
Mm-hmm.
No golf.
Cybershell, how are you feeling about Sonic Shadow Generation? Sonic X Shadow Generation.
Well, I just think it's interesting how this story is developed, because way back it was like, I don't know if it was leaked or it was just speculation that there's going to be a Sonic Generations remaster, and everyone was like, that's a horrible idea. It's on Steam, it's perfectly fine, there's a million mods for it. It's really like everyone is begging for Unleashed. Put Unleashed on PC, please. We're begging you. And they're like, no, we're gonna do Generations again. And like a lot of people, I was like, I'm not feeling it, fam. They're just gonna try and charge us to re-release a perfectly fine game that's already there. So I'm glad that they're going hard with this like extra Shadow like campaign. I thought this was kind of like a really weird structure, but someone mentioned that it's like not even really that different from what Nintendo did with the re-releasing 3D World on Switch, but they had that side campaign that was like a
Bowser's Fury.
Yeah, exactly. That
it is kind of like that, and it looks like it might be a similar size.
Yeah, it even has a little
Bowser's Fury was a couple
that's
hours.
sort of more over. Yeah. That's like more like I don't know. Some people were saying it's based on the Frontiers engine. I don't know if that was speculation or what, but it's not going to play 1-to-1 like Generations, which is interesting. but it's definitely like trying to be more Generations-esque than, Frontiers was. So I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. Like, I don't want to hype myself up too much, but, just any, like, I just remember back in the day, I was like, Generations is the perfect, like, there's not even a story that makes any sense. Who cares? This would be perfect. Just, you could add some DLC levels, just throw in a couple more levels to download. And they never did it. And I was like, I wish they did. That was such a missed opportunity. And this is sort of like them doing that. I mean, we're going to get to go revisit old locations, which looks interesting. And, I mean, it looks like it's mostly covering, I was just saying, mostly covering the Shadow adventure era. But it's like, that's kind of all, that's like the only time Shadow even existed, because there's a huge period of time with like Lost World and stuff where he just was like, just not in the games, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or if he was like, a side character like in Secret Rings or Black Knight, like he makes an appearance, but he's not.
He existed in those games and like the, party racing game stuff, and like he existed in the franchise, but he just wasn't in the main series games for a long time. Forces, besides Generations, obviously had a good showing in that as a little mini boss and whatever, but other than that, I wasn't really that keen on the Shadow DLC in Forces. That was free, obviously, so I couldn't be like mad about it or anything, but like I was like, whatever, these are like 3 alright levels. The story-wise, it gave us that really funny cutscene where the guy's like, I'm not weak! Classic Infinite. But other than that, I was like, whatever. So I was, at first, when they were like, my gut instinct was like, oh, is this going to be like that again? But no, it looks like they're putting more effort in this. There's cutscene stuff. It's like, it looks pretty good. Looks like, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to be hyping it up too much, because I don't know how substantial it's going to be. I don't know what, like, I would prefer just a few short, really good levels. Like, I don't need it to be that substantial. They don't need to pad it out or anything, since it's coming with a new game. And I guess this could be a lot of people's first exposure to Generations. Maybe is it going to come out on a Switch or something? I can't remember if I looked at the platform. It is?
It is.
Okay, that's actually kind of a weirdly big deal, just because of the huge install base of the Switch. And a lot of people, like kids, might be trying out Generations for the first time. And I feel like Generations is weirdly kind of a good, like, introduction to the Sonic series, even though it's like, it's just bombarding you with references and stuff. It's almost like just, a sample platter of stuff in the Boost engine. So, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, like I tend to be, for Sonic X Shadow Generations.
I'm excited that they're adding the drop dash to it.
Oh,
I'm
right.
That it's going to be on the Switch.
That's a good feature, yeah.
It is, I mean, my prediction is similar to what you're saying, of like, it's going to be more than Episode Shadow in Forces, probably less than Bowser's Fury from Super Mario 3D World, but somewhere in between that. And I wonder if it's going to be like I think we've seen, or we can kind of guess, the 5 or maybe 6 level themes that there's going to be, but will there just be like 5 or 6 levels?
That's what I was guessing.
Or will it be, they're like, or, Frontiers in Cyberspace, there was 4 or 5 themes, but a lot of different level structures.
True.
With those 5 themes. So
plus there's the
that
overworld.
Might be a way. Plus there's the overworld. So it might be, I don't know, I guess it would be between 5 and 10. Well, that can't be. What the hell am I?
I mean, Generations is a pretty short game, honestly. So that's what I mean. For DLC for Generations is going to be pretty short. But again, that's what I was saying. If it's good quality. And I didn't like thoroughly dissect the gameplay footage, because I do want to like sort of just, I'd rather just sort of wait. I looked at it looked all right, and I wanted to play it myself, obviously, but like based on what I saw people saying, and it does look, there's alternate routes. There's like, it's got the stuff you'd want. It's not like, it doesn't look like it's totally, hallway or whatever. It seems like they're really trying to make some interesting dynamic levels.
It's got Chao. Chao back?
Oh yeah, okay. So people, as soon as I start teasing Chao, people were going and say, "It's got the Chao guard. It's got Chao guard." And I'm pretty sure it doesn't have the Chao guard. They said, but it has Chao. It does have Chao in it, and hey, any like Chao in it at all with positive reception.
They're like lost.
Maybe we'll get it back.
Yeah, like lost
in
Chao
the levels, right?
In Sonic Adventure 2, which I had kind of like totally forgotten when I replayed Sonic Adventure a few years ago.
I almost like forgot that like wasn't just like, there's already a million like mission extra bonus type missions you can do in Generations. It wasn't like find the lost Chao one of those already, but I guess I don't know. Either way,
it was everything but
right.
That.
Exactly.
3 in every level.
Exactly. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think there's more Chao in the cutscene, so I was like, it looks like they are sort of like hyping up, like, look, we got Chao back, even if it's not fully fledged, I mean, I'm sure making a Chao garden is kind of a lot of work, kind of a pain in the ass just for this, like, because like, I don't know if there's ever like some poll or survey, but who knows what % of players even engage with that content. Despite the overwhelming love for it you see on like social media, there's probably an even more overwhelming silent majority of just people who only kind of give a shit about Sonic, and they like play the main game, and they're like, yeah, I'm not doing any of that Chao stuff. So it's like it's hard to justify the effort of making a full-fledged Chao guard. I get that, and I'm not trying to play defense for them because I would love to see it back too. But it's like I don't know.
I like seeing the Nights into Dreams Chao, but I am a little disappointed that that's probably the legacy of Nights into Dreams is like, hey, it's
right.
Just
That
Chao.
I mean, there was a Metal Knight skin in Sonic Superstars. And I was just thinking about that too. Like I do feel a little bad. Like Knights was like they were like, look, Knights gonna be this cool franchise, and now he's just reduced to the Sonic cameo guy who cameos in Sonic like so many of those games.
Knights stole the thunder of Sonic's 5th anniversary.
Yes, and Sonic fans have never forgiven Knights. Never. Never. How dare you? You're the reason there's no Sonic on Saturn, which is like, people are like, I don't know. It's easy to like totally make some fan fiction timeline in your head where like some crazy killer app Sonic game came out, but that's not what would happen. I mean, it would have been like Sonic Extreme or some shit like that. I don't know. Some fisheye lens thing.
You know,
I would love to have seen, I mean, okay, the Sonic Jam like prototype stuff was like, that was like, they were cooking. I mean, like I used to just pretend that it was a whole game in my head. Just like, this is awesome.
Speaking of Saturn, I think, Bo, you were just telling us right before we started that you have a Knights.
Yeah, well, so it's going to be the anniversary of Knights coming up next week, and you know, kind of like what we were talking about. I looked into the Knights code and I thought, like, you know what's cool about this game is you can fly. What if it was worse? What if you had to walk around as Elliot and Claris? And so I changed the game such that you have to do the levels as platformers, like as though it's a platformer.
Right.
And
that's funny because it is funny that like it's like the game makes you play as these little shitty kids for like just a second. Like now look how much cooler Knights is. Knights is so much cooler.
well, like in the earliest previews, you can see like they seem to have meant for it to have more walking around and like.
You can fully 3D walk around the levels. That just blew my mind as a kid. I just couldn't I was like, it's so crazy because it's like a 2D game, but you can. It's a 3D level, so you can literally walk around them in 3D if you want to, as the kids.
Yeah, and I think you were meant to like need to hunt for the place to like turn into Knights, and then maybe people got lost.
Right.
And
Oh yeah, like you'd come into the level and it would just be like you sort of have to
navigate.
Experience it in 3D, and then you get to fly around. Yeah, maybe they were going to lean even more into that. Like, you have to really be the kids to feel the difference between being Knights. But then like, being Knights is just like the fun part of the game. Let's just make that the game.
Well, so that's what my mod does.
Yeah, you have to know how bad it could be.
My mod makes it so you have to do the levels as the kids, but I did make them faster. I did like get rid of all the things that kill your momentum, and you know, it's fun adjacent. My hope is to like all the people who do score attack challenges on Knights, like give them
it's like a challenge run type thing. I think that's totally like a viable, like you wouldn't be like check this out. This is you should do this for your first playthrough of Knights, but no, like it's just like a fun thing. I think people will dig that. It is just funny, like too, but they make you start as a kid, and then the guys they beat the crap out of you and take your precious orbs.
Yes.
And that's all about getting your orbs back.
Yeah, you start off each level in Knights getting mugged. This is how I usually pitch the game to people. I'm like, okay, imagine you're a little kid, and in your dreams, somebody's like shoving you around, and you're crying, and there's a clock that's chasing you.
I got rid of the clock.
But haven't you always wanted to be a jester? Oh, you did get rid of the clock.
Right, that makes sense, because I mean, like, just in terms of how making it completable as the kids.
Yeah, we'll see what people think about it. I tweaked the scoring system such that like you get a lot more points if you do it quickly with a lot of the blue orb things. It's a score attack game at heart, and I tried to keep that in there. There's like going to be 6 people who are really into this, and I hope they play it a lot. Yeah, but
maybe it'll become a speedrunning category.
Yeah. Finally, I can just walk around and play with the Nightopians and hatch the Nightopian eggs, and then get my precious king Nightopian. That
was such a thing at that time in that specific year of being able to like prove that your game was 3D. And like, Mario Kart 64 comes to mind as like, because that was also kind of 2D, but it was also 3D. You could go off the course, and it's sort of an open world if you're driving over to Peach's Castle in Royal Raceway or going through the train tunnels. It's sort of like the experience of walking around the Knights levels as just the kid of just like, I can do this. Look at this. And that's pretty fun. And so it sounds like a cool thing to check out on Rings of Saturn, which is at the website.
Not Rings of Saturn. No, it's 32bits.substack.com. It'll be in the links
32 bits.
in the episode.
It's
You'll
always in
figure
the
it out.
links. It's
You'll
always.
It's
figure it out.
always in the description below. It's never
Have we
above.
talked
The
about?
description's
Have
never
we
above.
ever talked about the Knights comics? I can't
Oh
remember.
no, I don't think we have.
Why would you?
I liked them. I think the art like kind of fell off in the later ones, but you know the basic idea of like let's adapt this story, I think that worked.
I remember the Spaz covers were pretty.
Yeah, the Spaz covers were good.
The covers were good. The covers were cool. The inside was things happened, and then they made 6 issues, and it.
The first 3 are better.
The
Yeah.
first 3 are just doing the game, and then the next 3 are like, well, what do you do next? Knights.
They're like, good question.
That is funny because I mean, you can take something as insanely basic as Sonic the Hedgehog 1 on Genesis and spin all that crazy knothole lore crap and out of it and make a whole story. But I don't know, that feels harder to do with Knights. I mean, Knights isn't really. I mean, maybe you could. Maybe like he's just going to different kids' dreams and helping them out. I mean,
think
just,
that's the way
just
to
to go
do it.
Balan
You
Wonderland
can't-
with it. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, but I think the like mistake with the Archie comics was like, oh, I guess we'll just keep following Elliot.
Right, and I understand the
Clarice.
inclination to want that because they're the main characters of Knights and all. But like, I don't know.
Right.
It's like, yeah, but then it's like you solved the problem, and I don't know.
I think it's like more successful than in your memory because like there's things about it that you think are in Knights but actually aren't. Like, oh, Puffy, the ball rabbit boss. Like, oh, that's Claris's music teacher. No, that's a comic thing. In the game, he's an Elliot boss.
Oh, I thought Sonic fought him. She's in Lost World.
That's true.
They're all in Lost
Right.
World.
Yes, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, the Lost World had some just wild ass like. Well, let's do a Zelda crossover. Okay, what the? Well, sure, why not? Just like I feel like most people in Woolly World, that was another one, right? That was such a weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess not that weird because it was like, hey, it's a freaking, we got our Nintendo exclusive Sonic game. But I just feel like the average person, if you showed a picture of that Sonic Zelda stuff, they'd be like, what the hell is this?
David, quick
Lieutenant-
question for you.
Yes.
Did your copy of the Lara Sue Chronicles come in yet?
Not yet. No, I'm still waiting on it. I've been patiently sitting at the mailbox. Ken has been updating everyone as he sends them out, and my guess is that a lot of people bought this before I did, which one I'm surprised, and two, shocked. Both. It's both surprised and shocked. He mailed out like 20 copies on Friday, which is why there's been some panels floating around. You know, panels featuring parents and their children, and what happens when after. It doesn't
Can you
matter.
be more descriptive? I don't understand what you're saying.
No, well, okay, you know how let's say there's a newborn baby, right? And that baby has to eat somehow, right? You got to feed a baby. You can't if you don't feed a baby dies. You don't want the baby to die. You want the baby to live. That's why you got the baby. And then so you got to feed the baby. And there is a natural way that for tens of thousands of years, human beings and other mammals have fed their offspring.
Oh, I see now. Okay, so the echidna mother is breastfeeding the echidna infant in the comic book. I thought you were saying it was something weird. That was my mistake.
Wait, are they calling
no,
them
I
echidnas, or is
understand.
it some weird misspelling?
I think it's pronounced the
It's
same.
still echidna.
Right. The spelling is crazy, but the
Spelling is different, but I believe it's pronounced the same.
right.
Yeah, so he mailed out like 20 copies on Friday, and then he was like, oh, there's like, I've mailed out 80, up to 80 now on Monday. And so I don't know how many he's rolling out each day, but he's also been swarmed with new orders. He said like, wow, I've gotten more orders like since Monday than I did like for some of the pre-order months. And so I'm just sitting here going, wow, was I really not like one of the first 80? Was I not one of the first 100? Like, where is it?
You're severely underestimating the size of this man's fandom. There's a legion out there.
Apparently so. I mean,
Dark Legion.
right. There's
Exactly.
God. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of Ken Penders discourse. It always springs back up because people can't help.
If I had to guess which of Yuji Naka and Ken Penders would go to jail first, I would not have picked.
What I mean, you have to buy the Pender stock low. People are making fun of him, and then hold it, and then this comic comes out. It's a masterpiece. It's winning Eisner Awards. It's winning Oscar Awards. They're adapting it for screenplays. I mean, you'll be sorry.
I mean, my actual prediction is that it becomes the Room of comic books. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's like a comic book that's like, oh my god, you've got to see this. So you know Sonic the Hedgehog, right? And everyone's like, yeah, sure, I know. Got to go fast, chili dogs. And then you show them the breastfeeding picture, and you're like, look,
wait, which one?
There's more than
Because
yeah, which one?
What it is that in the panel, it transitions from the original Mobius 25 years later's designs to the Larusu Chronicles designs. So there's double breastfeeding.
It's so funny to do that.
That's how you know. It's an interesting panel or a moment to choose, but yeah. I don't know. I'm still Cybershell. Did you order a copy when you were on here last?
I did not. I was a fake fan.
What?
I need to get one. I need to show them that there's an increase in demand. This is why you have to release your things. You can't just be working on them forever. You have to actually release them, and then people will see them, and then they'll buy them. People aren't just going to pre-order things months and months in advance for this one issue of like half what reprinted comics or whatever. It's such a weird. It's like insane. It's like just a weird like cultural artifact that almost makes it sound too significant. But like just the fact that it even exists in its current form, and I've only seen a handful of pics on the Twitter, but it's what I've seen has been it's lived up to people. I mean, there was honestly part of me that's like maybe it'll just be like maybe we've seen the weirdest stuff and it'll be almost normal by comparison, but it doesn't look like that's necessarily going to be the case.
I thought when he had like the fake artist helping him, like, oh, this just is never coming out. But no,
that's also a valid prediction there.
He did it.
About that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just keep churning. Hey, what do you think? Do you think fucking Michelangelo sculpted David in one day? No, it takes time to make a masterpiece. So just chip away at it little by little, and then one day you release it out there, and everyone sees it, and everyone understands.
I'm happy for the Ken Penders win because we were both born in Buffalo, New York, and that's like a trivia fact that has stuck with me. And I'm always like, oh, I guess I'm kind of always on his side a little bit, even when it was like the worst, when he's like talking about, you know, Jeffrey St. John and taking Sally's virginity and stuff like that. I'm still like,
right. Which
I mean, it's not like every person who's from Buffalo, I'm on their side, because you know Harvey Weinstein's from Buffalo. I can't say I'm on Harvey Weinstein's side. I have to say I am not on Harvey Weinstein's
side. You were not. You're like, I'm still.
Jeffrey Jones is the principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's also from Buffalo. Not on his side. He's a pedophile. That's why he's not in the second Beetlejuice movie. That's why they kill off his character in the trailer.
Right. Even though probably killing him off is not, because then people will go, well, why can't we see him? This is a movie about ghosts. He should have just been like, oh yeah, your father faked his death and he's living in the Bahamas and we hate him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends how they go about it. And I am a bit excited for Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah.
Which I don't think Sonic's in.
No, but do you think Tim Burton has ever played a Sonic game?
No.
Do you think he's heard about it though? Like from kids? Yeah.
I think at this point, if he pays any attention to the industry he's in, he's probably aware Sonic exists. There's a movie.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine, like, in 99, Tim Burton went out and was like, I need a Dreamcast. And he sat down and played Adventure, and he's like, wow, if it was just darker and more money. So he probably hated DX because it was so shiny and bright.
Is the Dreamcast mentioned in any songs? This is like a Wikipedia thing I should look up. But I was like, there was, there's that song Espresso, which is like pop song, and it's Switch It Up Like Nintendo is a lyric, which is exciting because, hey, it's a song and it's saying Nintendo. I like that. It's a little play on words. That's even better. But Dreamcast, it's like Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo have been mentioned in songs.
Yeah, Notorious B.I.G.
Sega
talks
Dreamcast,
about
I
having a
wonder.
Genesis, but I feel Dreamcast would work well in a rap song. Like, it rhymes easily.
Rappers have sampled Sonic music before. It's not super common, obviously, but it has happened. I think Wiz Khalifa's done it. But I would just say in terms of like pure cultural osmosis, like, I love to always, I don't know why it always comes back to this, but he was the lead balloon in the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade. It's you can't not know who Sonic is and he was the lead balloon, for God's sakes. But again, that was in the 90s, obviously. I'm not saying everyone would always know about it, but I feel like you should.
No, I think it's.
It's
He
like,
almost killed
okay.
it, man.
So there's like tier 1 of video game knowledge. Like literally everyone in the world is Mario. He's like the Mickey Mouse. Everyone knows Mario. Sonic, I don't even know if I could put him at tier 2 as like below Mario. But he less people know him than Mario, but he's still like, he's got to be in like the top freaking 10 most recognizable just because it's like, he's very iconic design, simple, one stark memorable color, the blue. I mean, that's the main one, at least, obviously. But
Right.
I don't know.
I mean,
And
'cause probably
multimedia,
the-
like it's
the-
not just the game.
also, the
There's
movie is the
movies,
main
there's-
thing where it's like you. I feel like there was like at least a 10-year period of time where if you weren't tapped into video games at all, you probably weren't hearing about Sonic. But Jim Carrey is fucking showing up on Jimmy Fallon to be like, I play Dr. Robotnik. I think people hear about it.
Right. So Tim Burton in 2013, he might not have known Sonic existed.
Well, but I think also it's important to just kind of underline this point that there is a Sonic spectrum, if you will, where like you will know that there's Sonic, and because it's like Sonic's in the Macy's Day Parade.
Yeah.
But do you know Tails? Do you know Knuckles? Do you know
Right,
Shadow? Do
right.
you know Big? Do you know like how far out do you go? I remember even when Tails was new, that there was like the 2 plush toys. I remember that my grandma wanted to get me the Tails plush toy because I asked for it, and she came back and she was frustrated because they were calling her crazy at Toys R Us. They're like, the fox doesn't have 2 tails. What are you talking about? She's like, no, a 2-tailed fox. I don't know. And they were just like the least helpful, or at least that's how it was, described. Maybe she was. You can call my grandma a liar if you want.
No, those guys
That's
were
the story that
definitely.
she presented.
They were Nintendo fans. They were secretly being haters.
Can we ever phone in right now? Can we?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I'm ready. I want to.
All
I
right.
want to talk to your grandma.
Me too. Let's get a what do you call it? Beetlejuice. How do you talk to the dead?
Okay. Well, never
R.I.P.
mind.
Grandma.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel. Well, could have done like David Letterman. He would have his mother on the show. She'd
Right.
call in and be like, "Hello, David." Of course, that was his mother, not his grandmother.
Yeah. My mom doesn't
Grandparents.
listen to the show.
Then that's even all the better for her to call her in. We could
Anyway.
ask her about Sonic.
Yeah, we could.
Or Cybershell, how many of your relatives know about
Well, I mean, like
Sonic the Hedgehog?
Are you always getting like Sonic stuff? Like people know, like, oh, you like Sonic, so and there's so
Yeah.
many like you go to Target and it's like Sonic everything.
Yeah,
That's where
my
you kind of-
family members definitely know about Sonic. My grandma, who's also dead, rest in peace. She actually introduced me to Sonic. She had like a Sega Genesis. She was like a cool gamer grandma in like the 90s, which was pretty sweet.
Oh.
But yeah, no, and then I was like, yeah, this is awesome. So, I mean, I feel like I said, you're totally right. There's like a sphere of Sonic knowledge where Sonic is like the pinpoint in the middle. Like you can't, it's not possible. I mean, it's basically not possible to know about Sonic the franchise without knowing about Sonic the Hedgehog. But there's like a small, like even people who don't like Sonic haters, like they know Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik. I would say even slightly outside of that being like Ring 1, Ring 2 is probably like Amy. Oh, also Eggman. The thing about Eggman is it's weird. There's still people out there who call him Robotnik, and then you say he's Eggman. They're like, they don't even know. They still don't even know about the name change. Or there's probably even people
That's how my
who
parents
like
are.
And there's probably even people that, the older people who learn about Sonic in the 90s, back when that was like a big cultural flashpoint or whatever, that's probably how they all perceive it. Because the cartoons, they probably saw the cartoons on TV, they saw their kids watching the cartoons. And there's also probably but there's probably a contingent of newer Sonic fans who either don't know he's called Robotnik or just never, ever, they never called him that. They never watched anything that called him that, so it's just in their mind. It's just like a trivia factoid. It's not like... But anyways, obviously he's part of the main... thing with if Tails, Knuckles, but it's sometimes people will randomly know about things like Big the Cat, but then it's you can't expect the average person who's not a Sonic fan to know about Big or Blaze. I think that's tier 3 maybe. I mean, not obscure, because when we're talking about obscure, I'm not expecting you guys to know about do you know about Ray the Flying Squirrel? That's tier 5 or 6. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong, because they brought him back in Mania Plus, which is on Switch. So a million kids know about Ray now, and Mighty.
Yeah, my son has a Ray toy.
Right, you gotta talk about Sonia.
Right. I was thinking about, we're talking about mothers. It's Sonic's had a weird selection of mothers. His current mother is an owl from the Paramount movies, then there was a Queen Alina from the Underground, and then of course there was Bernadette or whatever her name was.
Right?
Bernice.
Was it Bernadette?
Bernadette.
Yeah.
His mom from the comics. And then I'm trying to remember if there was a one-off Adventures episode where he talked about his parents. I can't remember. I know there's the episode about Tails being found family. Anyways, it's just a weird selection we've had of Sonic's parents, I guess. It's just a plot point that doesn't matter.
You can't forget Brenda.
Right. Yes.
manga.
Yes, exactly. The real obscure stuff. Or
The real one.
And he's got two
Yoshimo
moms. I mean, Maddie is also his mom, if Tom is his dad.
Right,
So
I guess that
he's got
counts, honestly,
Longclaw
yeah.
and Maddie.
Adopted
You're right. You're
mother.
totally right. Yeah, there's no reason to not count the. Yeah, do they even explain that? Do they why is there just this blue hedgehog? I completely forget how that works. They should have literally had a scene where the owl lays an egg and then Sonic comes out of the egg.
Oh, that owl was getting up to some things.
But not a lot of dads though. There's Jules.
Right.
There's the dad from the old manga whose
Yes.
name is it
Sonic is Nikki, but
Polly.
yeah, Polly.
Paulie.
Yo. Right,
That's Sonic's
my
dad.
impression. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Tom.
Right.
Yeah. Right, because there are no dads in Underground, and there is no dad in...
Uncle Chuck.
Yeah, he has an uncle. That's kind of weird. Uncle Chuck's basically the dad figure. In all but name, he might as well just be Sonic's dad in all the media he shows up in. You know what I mean? I guess, okay, not Archie
Father
Comics,
Chuck.
because they sort of develop something separately. But yeah, Uncle Chuck, that was a big... That was
I think Uncle Chuck is his dad, but he's doing that thing of
Exactly.
he doesn't want to. Yeah,
It's all this
pretending
family
he's
drama.
uncle.
It is so funny that they specifically went out of their way to create Sonic's mother as a character in Sonic Underground and made familial drama and finding their mother the whole central thesis of the show. Do they even mention the dad once in a throwaway line? I don't even think that it's just not relevant.
No, I mean, right in the intro, they show Queen Alina laying up in bed. There's her 3 kids. They're all pretty infant-like. No breastfeeding involved, and there's no dad. She's pretty happy those kids are alive. So when would he where is he? Did he die? Did he get...
that's what I mean. You're totally right, because I was it would have been so easy for them just to have a throwaway line or something about him dying or something about the king. I mean,
him getting
I don't know.
roboticized. I mean,
that's the obvious way. That's the obvious go-to. That's what Archie did, and it's I guess implied in Sat Am, or maybe
in
not.
Sat
I
Am,
guess
they never talk about
it's
his
just
parents.
not right. Yeah, it's just really not a plot point at all. That's specifically what I meant when I was just Uncle Chuck.
Oh yeah,
basically is his dad.
in the one where
that
they go
show,
back
just
in time in Sat AM, it's just Uncle
You
Chuck.
still don't
there.
see him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I realized I was oh yeah, because you would think that he would have just been implied there that they were roboticized, but no, even in the past.
And Sally's father's there, but there's no mention of her mom, right?
Right.
No.
Yeah, weird.
No,
Right.
no mention of the mom. We also don't know about any of the parents of the other kids. Presumably they exist. Otherwise, there's just a lot of orphans running around. And maybe they're wards of the state. That's why Rosie is taking care of them, right? Rotor, ward of the state. Bunny, ward of the state. It's fine.
You know who else might count as a father though? Is you remember the I think it was one of the early Bible versions of Sonic where he's he's an emblem on the jacket of some guy, of a fighter pilot.
Right.
And then he dies. And then the other guy, who is just like his roommate, definitely not like his lover, like just his friend who loves him, who takes the jacket and wears it forever. And then his daughter takes the jacket, and then she becomes a cartoonist. Something like this. Am I remembering it right?
No, you're not.
What?
You're.
I swear I read something like that.
No. What it is, it's right. Because there's a couple different versions, but it is in one of them, Chuck Yeager and the other guy, whose name is escaping me because it's only mentioned in the 91 manga, they trade jackets because they're both trying to break the speed barrier. And he's like, oh, this is my lucky Sonic jacket. You wear it, Chuck Yeager. I won't wear it on this test flight. Oh, I died. So they're not roommates. But then there's, I think in that version it is like,
I think if you read between the lines, though.
But in the version that I guess Yasuhara wrote, what ends up happening is that Meg, who is the girl in the 80s, who is a photographic journalist, she finds the jacket in a thrift shop. It's not given to her.
Okay.
In the manga prose retelling, I think they kind of simplify it and are just like, oh, she gets it. It doesn't matter. But originally it is she finds it and buys it because everyone recognizes Sonic, even if they don't remember the name of the spiky-haired test pilot.
Which was Chuck Yeager.
Chuck Yeager's the one who survived. He's the one in the history books. The other guy died. Yes. And so we're meant to think, I don't know if we're meant to think that is Sonic somehow, but they do use that in the manga with Polly and Brenda, where Sonic, who is their child Nikki from the future, goes back in time and saves his father, who is a test pilot, from dying so that he can meet Brenda, he can meet his mother, and there's some weird time travel shenanigans. So I guess like he stops the thing from happening that does happen in the human world, even though he already had a kid, because the test pilot did have a wife, and that wife had a kid.
Yeah, I don't
and the
see why you're forgetting these details,
Sonic.
Grant. It's like so
yeah,
easy.
of course. How silly of me to have forgotten. I was very close. You're like, oh, you're way off. I was like, I basically got it right. Like,
well, you were like,
in
they're
love with each other.
just right. Chuck Yeager and God, what is his name? It's just
Varsity
like,
jacket.
It doesn't matter. Do you remember Cybershell?
I really do not remember the details that clearly, I'm going to be honest. But it is part of a larger trend, I guess, of just, the weird lack of fathers in Sonic. Like, think about Cream, mother, no father. Robotnik, Gerald is his grandfather, but he doesn't have a father. They just skipped that. One. But Maria,
what's weird
where's
is
Maria's parents? What's going on there?
That's true. He's now a father to Sage and I guess Metal Sonic and
definitely Sage.
Henry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His name is Henry.
Henry.
I looked it up.
Henry. Thank you.
He doesn't even have a last name. On the day of the test flight, Chuck and Henry wish each other luck and exchange flight jackets. And then Henry died. God, like you shouldn't have done that, maybe. Maybe you should have kept it. Right, and so then Meg becomes Henry's daughter, even though Meg is not Henry's daughter in the Oshima Yasuhara version.
Speaking of memorable comic storylines.
Oh, right. Hey, you know what? Grant.
Yeah.
I bring this up all the time. You bring it up all the time. We've got a guest. We got a guest. I bring it up in my sleep. And I send voice memos, and I'm like, oh, yeah. And we have a guest. We have a guest who knows things about Sonic. They're not a Garfield person, not a Dragon Ball person, which means if we ask them a Sonic question, they might have an answer. So, Grant, we have a mailbag. We tell people...
Yes, that's true. We do tell people... You tell people at the end of every episode our email address.
Yeah,
and we do read
podcast@gmail.com.
the emails that come in. I usually respond to them. We all read it and respond to it. But yeah, okay, so fine. Let's open up the mailbag. Let's take a question. Okay, so here's one from Wario Scapelli. They write, "Hey everyone, writing in to fill that digital mailbag. Was wondering what are everyone's favorite stories from the Sonic comics. There's been plenty of stuff to choose from between Fleetway, Archie, and IDW. My personal favorite stories are from Sonic Universe after the reboot." The Silver Age was a fun exploration of Silver's timeline with the Adventures characters. Shadowfall and Eclipse were some of the best Team Dark stories, and Sonic's conversation with Silver in Universe 75 about fighting to save people, even if the world says we're guaranteed to lose, still resonates with me today. Looking forward to what y'all and people in the comments have to say. Wahahaha, Wario Scapelli. Okay, we have other mail, but I think that's a good question of favorite stories. I think also, in addition to favorites, what are memorable stories?
Ones you
what
hate.
Was the one you hate, or even just ones that? What was your first encounter with Sonic comics? And then
the one I always come back to is the Mecha Madness stuff. I just always thought that was a good premise. You know, roboticize two characters to make them fight. Maybe the setup was a little contrived. Maybe if I cared enough to care about, there was like some stuff where, they're mad at Sonic. He was like on trial or whatever. But that doesn't matter. What matters is the part where he's fighting freaking Robot Knuckles as freaking Robot Sonic. And he was like this cool, kind of like Mecha Sonic, but he basically was roboticized Sonic. He's basically this like unique sort of looking form. I always liked that one. And I always had a soft spot for Endgame, regardless of the many, many, many weird things about that arc. I just liked the how I don't know. That was probably literally my first exposure to like a grand climactic storyline with like actual consequences, even if the consequences were like obviously like, oh well, we need to bring Robotnik back eventually, so let's just have a new different version of Robotnik. It still felt like, wow, they killed Robotnik. He's fucking dead, except he's not. They bring him back one issue later, and then they to get rid of him again. But whatever, it doesn't matter.
They reassemble his atoms.
Yeah, whatever the hell that means.
That issue where they basically just do the movie The Fugitive. I hadn't seen The
Exactly.
Fugitive.
I did not understand what they were parroting at all, but I just thought it was cool. I was just like, whoa, this is a cool premise.
Yeah, Sonic's jumping out of I think it ends on a cliffhanger with Jeffrey St. John has him.
Right.
He's at a waterfall, so he's got to.
He jumps, and then I'll never forget. He takes the dirt out of his shoe, throws it, and runs on it as like a bridge, which is just insane. But you can't help.
I
love it.
Thing in the world.
He's that freaking fast.
I love it.
He just needs some friction, I guess.
I don't know why.
I don't know. Yeah, it's why doesn't he ever do that again? Whatever. I'm not trying to nitpick it, but it's a funny and memorable moment. That's all you can really want out of a Sonic comic.
Is that following exactly after Mega Madness? Because they tell Sonic.
Mega Madness was pretty soon. Yeah, you're right. It was pretty much right before that because that was basically peak of before. Yeah, was it? It was before,
Mega
right?
Madness
like 40 something, or I mean, it was a special
it's
issue.
40 and the special. Yeah. So it's a 3, and then Endgame starts in 47. So you got 6 issues where.
Right.
But right before.
Again, just even then, just a continuing storyline was enough to be like, whoa, for me, which is again kind of silly, but I still think it comes. Wow. It was like another big I always liked the fight. Stupid. This was just how my brain operated as a kid, but I loved the Super Sonic versus Hyper Knuckles special. Even though it's in my mind, this is gonna be the most epic fight ever. It's quite like a silly fight. They're pulling each other's hair and stuff. It's quite goofy, but it's still fun. It's still a fun time. Again, there's barely a reason for them to be fighting, but who cares? It's just a goofy, fun comic.
Archie Comics always had those. Those 2-page spreads where he was pulling on Knuckles, and they would always have too. It's special pinup page, but did anybody?
Yeah, I always saw that. And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What the hell do you mean pinup?" But you literally do I pin the whole comic up, or do I rip the page out? I'm not doing either of those. I just to look at it. It looks great. I love a good 2-page spread, but I didn't understand. I mean, that was I think that's just a remnant of older comics. Pinup art was a thing in just comics, I guess. I mean, I don't know. People used to just be comics are yeah, you read them, you fucking read them once, you throw them in the trash. Who cares?
Right, you're meant to engage and tear out pages and
my childhood comics are so scuffed quality, because I would just read them. I wouldn't keep them in a closed container, and some of them are in all right shape, but a lot of them are a little torn around the edge, especially the ones I would read a lot. I
definitely would pick Mega Madness and the Super Special as my real favorites, but honorable mention for me is number 35, where he gets the billionth ring. And then just a bunch of weird stuff happens to him, and there's that was trippy. I like that one. Chaos Emeralds, and I like the art on that one. I like the
ancient walkers.
Yeah, that one always.
It is interesting that within the first 50 issues, the tone changes so much from the so wacky, goofy, basically almost adventures to Sonic the Hedgehog tier, just they're beating Robotnik with a giant slingshot type stuff versus the melodrama of Endgame and all that stuff. It's just interesting watching that turn.
And it's largely thanks to Penders. I mean, that
people want to hate on him.
Super exciting.
Exactly. He was the one making it more serious.
Yeah, and that comic wouldn't exist. Like, if you like anything Ian Flynn ever did, you have to be like, well, it's because Ken Penders worked on this comic.
Right. There's so much groundwork he laid, and then people are always focusing on the fact that when Ian came in, he like solved a bunch of issues and cleaned up a bunch of crap that nobody cared about from Penders, but he still did good things with like things Penders created too. So I don't know. He does deserve some credit for that.
Yeah. It's a tangled web that they have weaved or woven. If you want to,
it's so tangled that it's incredibly hard to untangle it when someone has a lawsuit and tries to take away a shitload of characters.
Yeah, like Tangle the Lemur, who is a new character who will never meet Princess Sally Acorn. There are lawyers who have dedicated their careers to making sure that Princess Sally never meets Whisper the coyote? She coyote? Fox? Wolf. Whisper the wolf. Whisper the wolf. We've been over this. Whisper the wolf.
Right. Whisper and Sally could hang out, though, right? I mean, in some alternate universe, Whisper probably was part of Jeffrey St. John's, like, secret.
They just need to do a HD re-release of Sonic Spinball, and then all the freedom fighters who show up in Spinball, they have a reason to, oh yeah, we're meeting them again. I'm a brand new character called Sally.
They could. They won't, but they could.
I mean, that's the funny thing is, right, they could, though, because, like, they own those characters, the ones that, Penders didn't take. They're like, yeah, because, it's the Sonic comic, we own all this stuff. But, I mean, obviously it's fine. I get why they're doing their whole thing for IDW. And there's some good stuff on IDW. I feel bad because I'm just so bad at, like, reading a monthly comic. I can just read a comic in, like, 5 nanoseconds. And, like, okay, that's it? Where's more? I need to, like, I'm used to, like, binging a freaking 500 chapter manga now. I can't just read 20 pages of something. Even then, I just do get to appreciate the art. But there's some great IDW stuff, like Scrapnik Island's awesome. I still think the funniest thing is that they did that whole like metal virus saga. Yeah. That's like such a hugely climactic storyline, and it was like the second freaking arc they ever did, and it took up so much time. Again, not saying it's bad. I actually think it's good. They did a lot of great stuff in there. It's just like the reset from that to the next stuff, like the downtime. I don't know. It's hard to keep people as engaged when you have to like reset. It's like the power creep at the start of any new game. You have to sort of reset the stakes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have read them in single issues digitally, but it's been much better. I picked up the hardcovers, and it's so much much nicer to read them that way. And then Penders was teasing on his Twitter that who fucking knows? He was doing that like knowing smile shit that like Ian also does. It's very annoying when they do that stuff. But the idea of a Archie Sonic omnibus to be able to like. Because I've read it on my computer, but I haven't actually like had those books with pages since I was a kid. And it would be fun to like flip through, especially like the crazy stuff where it's like getting really muddled and weird. And if it was in like chronological order, mixed in with like the Knuckles series, and then with Sonic Universe and the specials,
the Sally miniseries, the Tails miniseries.
Right.
It would be cool if they were like committed to like actually making a complete like I thought they did some like re-releases of the older comics in like a smaller digest format or something, but like a big massive hardcover omnibus. The funny thing is I actually know a guy who really loved the Archie comics so much that he took it upon himself to like start a project where he was going to make a big hardcover omnibus of the Archie comics, but like literally one copy just for himself, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't gonna make it to sell or whatever. But apparently it's a huge pain in the ass to get everything formatted properly, get all the pages lined up, everything color corrected. What do you do about all the the letter sections, and how does that all that? There's a million things to consider there, so it's not as easy as just doing it. But I mean, I would certainly love to see that. It would be interesting if they did do something like that. But of course, there's the Penders rights thing. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, I mean, right? Because Ken Penders. Right, he's saying that the next reprint he's going to do is Knuckles Omnibus. Ken Penders' Knuckles Omnibus Volume 1.
Right, but I forget. So he's like selling old Archie comics right now, right? They're part of the thing that he's selling or whatever.
Right, the Lara Sue Chronicles,
includes the stuff he did.
Material, but it's also a reprint of Mobius 25 years later. Right. So there are Archie stories in that hardcover, which a lot of people are confused by,
Right.
and are like, well, how could he do? There's Sonic. I don't.
He's
understand,
flying
but he's
real
doing
close
it.
to the sun. That's my.
I mean,
Well,
I feel like he just
Sonic's
wants to.
not on the cover,
Right.
Like none of the. If you look at the cover, like there is the Mobius 25 years later version of Knuckles, along with Julie Sue and Lara Sue, right? The name of the book. But the cover that's taken from or adapted from issue 131, like it had Sonic and Sally and Rotor and all those. They're not on the cover anymore, and I think it's because you can't. You are making a new piece of art. Because I'm sure that this Knuckles omnibus is going to have to not feature like Sega stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if there is like some weird, like maybe even just a visual representation, like a symbolic representation of Knuckles as opposed to Knuckles himself. Ken Penders did do the cover artwork for 2 reprints of Superman books that Elliot S. Magan wrote, Last in a Krypton and Miracle Monday. Those are novels, not comics. It's one of those weird things where like Miracle Monday, it is a Superman book. It was published in 1980, but there was like some clause in Elliot's contract where if it wasn't reprinted after X amount of time, he could do it himself. There's a new cover. It's got a Superman figure on it, but it doesn't have the regular S. It's just a line that shows an S. And the Less Than a Krypton reprint can show the evolution of this cover, where it's a hand-painted Krypton exploding, and there's Christopher Reeve's head. And originally, he painted part of the S symbol, but in the final version, it's all been removed. And I guess it's because even showing part of the S would have potentially got them in trouble for reprinting this book, so they had to remove it. But yet, he was still able to reprint and say, oh, Elliot S. Magan, Last Son of Krypton. You just can't have it say Superman on the cover. You can't have the S symbol on the cover. So when it comes to any Archie reprints, he is, I'm sure, going to be like, I can't draw Sonic. I can't use the Sonic logo. I can't use the Knuckles. Like, you can't do these things. But the interior, I guess, is all fine. He's not talking about having to redraw. He's also been like, I've been in contact with Scott Shaw, and we want to release a collection of his work. He did the first 3 issues of the miniseries and a Tales solo story that was in Sonic in Your Face. Like, put that in a slim little thing. Put that next to Lara Sue in your 600-page Knuckles omnibus. He is dancing along those lines, and I am not a lawyer. I do not know copyright law or the specifics. But if Ken is reprinting these, I feel like it's because he thinks he has a legal right to be able to do it. He has lawyers. We know he does. He had to go to court with Archie. So this lawyer, if they were like, well, you can never reprint these as they are, I don't think he'd be doing it. He just still would be pushing, oh yeah, Lara Sue Chronicles. But there's something there, and now the floodgates are opening, because we know also the people, his peers at the time who were also working on Sonic, they seem to be on board. Many of them were, had affidavits regarding like, oh yeah, nobody signed work for hire contracts and agreements and all this. So I think a lot of them are probably going to be on board for any sort of reprints if that means they get royalties, which is, even if it's a couple bucks, it's more than Archie was going to give them.
I don't know. If I'm Scott Shaw and I'm getting texts from Ken, I'm like, yeah, sure, buddy, whatever. And yeah, do the reprints, whatever.
You might get like a 20 bucks at some point. You can go to Taco Bell.
Yeah, it depends on how much work they have to do, and it is curious to wonder like how much of Ken getting away with it is from like him meticulously making sure all his legal ducks are in a row versus just like Sega not giving a shit. You know what I mean? Like the amount of loss, like they might have run a calculation where it's like the amount of profit we could theoretically lose from this is like nothing. And like it's not like we're trying to make money off these old Archie. I mean, I guess they technically make money off Archie reprints or somehow probably somewhere, but like I don't know. It just feels like it's like I understand companies are litigious about like things like you don't use a logo. Like if he was using Sonic, put big Sonic front and center, he'd definitely get in trouble for sure. But like I don't know, he like does literally own a lot of characters, and he has a lot of weird loophole stuff where like in Larasu Chronicles, Knuckles he's called Canucks, and he's like he's a different character. Maybe he looks exactly like Knuckles. Well, these characters I own happen to look exactly like Knuckles, and you know what do you just say I can't? I don't know, man. It's like that's what I mean. Does Sega really want to go to court over this stuff? Like maybe they will. I'm definitely not saying they definitely won't. I'm just saying, I mean, I wouldn't be that surprised if he got away with it, but it's a seriously weird situation.
I feel like, at the very least, Sega would send a cease and desist.
I think that's the extent of their obligations legally. It's like, we need to be able to say we spent X amount of dollars defending our trademark, and we paid a lawyer to write a letter.
Which, yeah. Now, I don't know if they've done this. I feel like if they had, Ken would tweet about it.
Exactly. I was going to say, he wouldn't like, I wouldn't say be happy, but he would be like so ready to be like, I'm ready to defend my creator rights, because that's, that's what gets him all jazzed up. So like, yeah, but I totally see what you mean. You're totally right about the cease and desist.
Yeah,
like it would probably just come to that.
Right. I've just been sitting here trying to figure it out, and I feel like part of it is because when Ken filed those copyrights, there were notices sent to Archie and Sega, and they were ignored. And then Archie, after they got a notice that said, "Oh yeah, these you don't have these copyrights anymore," that's when they decided to pursue legal action. Whatever, like, it might have something to do with the statute of limitations. It might have something to do with, I mean, like, an argument that maybe could be made is Sega was aware that these comics were being printed. They were signed off on them. It's Sega's responsibility to know whether or not they own any of this material, and if they were perfectly okay with it being released and making money and already had signed off on it, like, they lost their right to argue that this content can't be released without their authorization or without them continuing to get paid. Like, there might be something there. But like I said, I'm not a lawyer.
I think it's just two companies that are famously incompetent, Archie and Sega. Like, Sega doesn't know who did what music for Sonic 3. Their licensing division is in no better shape than their music division. And then Archie, I think, like, even a judge who heard the case expressed some incredulity to one of Archie's lawyers, like, what happened here? And the new Archie lawyer said prior counsel blew it. Yeah.
But it's like, they already lost is the thing. It's like, so do they really want to go back at Penders again? Like, not that I'm saying they're afraid of Penders, although maybe they are. It's just like more like, he already got these stupid characters. What do we have to step on his neck to stop him from making this comic that, X amount of people are going to buy, and I don't know how many that is, but we'll find out. Penders Nation.
I don't know if you guys watched that Penders video from, I forget which YouTube creator.
Matt.
Yes, that was it. And I feel like it was there where it was revealed that Scott Shaw, even in the legal documents, had the exclamation point.
Yeah, that's just part of his name. Same thing with Elliot S. Magan. The S has the exclamation point. Same thing with Tracy Yardley. Yardley has the exclamation point. If you do not use the exclamation point, you are not using their Christian name.
Oh.
Right?
Well, I thought that was just a fun little detail.
It is fun. It is fun. I like that they all do it. And somehow all three of those people are connected to Sonic, even though Elliot S. Magan is only connected because he's best friends with Ken Penders for some reason. This guy who was like the Superman voice in the 70s is just pals with Ken. He also wrote an issue of Archie Super Teens. It was a special, which he also claimed he did not sign a work-for-hire agreement for, and that meant that he owned the work in that issue. I don't think he's tried to reprint it or anything, but also I don't think Archie's ever... I guess we should rewind and be like, probably the biggest reason Archie did not care about having all their ducks in a row is because they never thought the series would go past issue 50, and it certainly would never be reprinted in any form or fashion. How many Alf omnibuses exist? 0. And that, like, That was just
Right.
like
That's sort of what I was getting
look
at
it
earlier when I
now-
was talking about comics used to be more ephemera. Like, it wasn't like people were thinking so hard about this. Like, that's the reason freaking Superman or Action Comics and One or whatever is worth so much money, is because they made a lot of them, and most of them went in the trash or just dissolved over time. You know what I mean? They're printed on little
Right.
paper. You know what I
Like, they-
mean? That's why people want a nice omnibus, so they can actually keep their little comic stories.
Right. A single issue used to sell a million copies. Like there would just be
Yeah, it'd be newsstands across the country, right? But like, it's the amount of people who actually
Yeah.
kept them. I don't know.
yeah.
I just don't know.
mean, part of the reason there are so few is because of World War II. That the war effort needing to recycle things, like, oh, we need to recycle paper, so a kid would buy Action Comics number whatever. Or, hey, look, Captain America's punching Hitler in the face. This is great. Okay, now we're going to recycle this for the war effort. Let's go, team. And then I guess some people just kept it. They were like, I'm going to put this in a drawer. I don't want it to turn into
The true
pulp.
collectors, they knew one day it would
Knew
be
one
worth
day
something.
That's right. One day, this issue of Action Comics would be bought by Nicolas Cage, and then it would be stolen from Nicolas Cage, and then Nicolas Cage would eventually recover it, but would still sell that for millions of dollars.
How have they not made a movie about that starring Nicolas Cage?
Oh man, right? That's National Treasure 3.
That sounds like a
That's what
pretty
it should
good
be.
concept, actually.
Oh yeah, because there's probably got to be some Masonic secret society stuff in the first Action Comics, right? You know?
The ones that weren't just trying
I
to tell you
think
to buy war bonds.
Man.
Oh God.
You know how they're making the like Beatles cinematic universe? They should do that
Yes.
for Sonic Team developers, and the universe can cover Sega of Japan and Sega of America. So, like, the first movie will like lay out the arc that Nock is going to go on. So he doesn't go to jail till like movie 3, but in movie 2 is covering Sonic 2 through Sonic Adventure 2. So there's a lot going on there, but you see it from different perspectives.
So is there a movie then about Ken Penders?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good. But Cybershell, what's your favorite Fleetway story?
I guess I kind of I mean, obviously, everyone loves the Brotherhood Metallic stuff. They had a really fun take on Metal Sonic. I guess, I mean, I feel like a poser because everyone wants to say it, but like the Supersonic stuff, I was always a kid. I was just so fascinated with their take on Supersonic. It was like so fascinating to me. Someone could like play or have just seen footage of Sonic 2, him going supersonic, be like, yeah, what if he was this psycho who shoots lasers out of his eyes and he's just a total demon? And then it's like the way that plays out, and then it's like it doesn't come up that often, but then it's like, he's just like too OP. We have to like split Supersonic from regular Sonic and then give him amnesia, and then he's just like doing his own thing. It's just such a bizarre, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in Fleetway I did enjoy. Obviously, like Sonic's characterization. I mean, that's not like a specific story, but just the whole, but the way, just the tone of it has very interesting. The way it's so different from the other, like, I mean, I guess it's just one take on Sonic having an attitude.
Right, a British attitude, because the Brits are rude. They're all rude.
Exactly,
Look at them.
rude and dry, sarcastic Sonic.
Yeah, right. Because I figure, we talk mostly when in answering that question from the mailbag, it's all been about Archie with a little lip service
Right, yeah.
to IDW existing, but Fleetway is the other. Like that's,
It has a very dedicated
much.
fandom, and like people still care about it a lot. They're still trying to continue it on online, which is cool. Yeah, I don't know. It is like this is not really like a specific like storyline, but towards the very, very end, when they're trying to like do this, they're adapting Sonic Adventure, and it's so weird. The way Chaos is portrayed in that is like this weird, freaky monster or whatever, and there's just like a scene where Robotnik just throws on his Adventure 1 coat, and it looks so weird on the Adventures of Sonic style looking Robotnik with the weird shaped head, but it looks so cool at the same time. It's like, damn, that's like such a weird fusion. Like kind of like Sonic Pocket Adventure has the SA1 look, but in pixel art.
Yeah. That's why it's got to be canon. It shows Eggman changing his clothes.
They had to show the detail. Those people are like, "What's going on?"
They did. Yeah. And then Sonic,
It makes more sense than Archie, where he gets obliterated and downloaded into a new robot body, which just happens to look a little different.
That's right. Because the Sonic Adventure adaptation, if you look between Archie and Fleetway, I guess Archie is technically more faithful, right?
I guess, but it's like, it always felt so weird to me how, like, I get why they're doing these comic tie-ins for the games. It makes perfect sense in like a business perspective, but like trying to shoehorn the events of those games into the extremely different and already well-established world of adventure. There was like some insane shit where Station Square was like underground or something, and it was like had like a fake sky. I can't even remember all the details.
It's in a hollow mountain.
Hollow mountain, right? And it was like,
right.
Yes. The Overlanders or whatever, but they were like not necessarily related to ones that had the war with the furries. I can't remember, but it was just a bunch of crazy stuff.
The Overlanders were, I guess, the remains of humanity that survived the gene bomb and then re-evolved over thousands of years, while the humans that were in Station Square were shielded from the effects of the gene bomb, which I guess means that their society has just been in stasis, like frozen for thousands of years, not literally but figuratively, because their culture is the same as late 20th century Earth, even though it would have been in the future, so their culture shouldn't have even resembled 20th century Earth to begin with. But that's how it looks in the game.
Right. They really had to. There was a lot of stuff in the games that they just basically had to do. I mean, even when they're in their like SA2 stuff, I don't feel like they super really knew what to do with Shadow. But and he also had that orange chest hair, which I always thought was weird. But like,
yeah. Right, because Shadow's, it's issue 98, where they go, we'll adapt the beginning of the game and a little bit of the gun stuff. You don't see him again until 124, which they call Sonic Adventure 2.5 Alpha.
Right, I remember that.
And it's just Shadow's floating in space, and he's like, huh, yeah, I went through Adventure 2, I guess.
I guess that happened.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do. Like, definitely at some point, the original Archie staff was just baffled by modern Sonic continuity.
Well, I mean, imagine being a guy like Ken Penders and you're crafting your own little world, your own little storylines, your own little kid, and then you get this mandate from on high. It's like, this stuff needs to happen. And then, according to Penders, right, it was like, they didn't even like provide them with copies of the games. Like, they're like, go out and buy the game and then figure out how to adapt this or whatever. But, I don't know. It
was Spaz. It was Patrick Spaziante, who was like the big fan who was importing the games from Japan, right? I think even.
Yes.
But you know, it's crazy how they would always have like these convoluted explanations for like, why are Sonic's eyes green? Oh, it's because this like wave came out. It can't just be like, oh, in a different. It just you happen to see them, and like Eggman has to be like Dr. Robotnik becoming Eggman has to be. Yeah, he goes into a new body. He's a different guy. It can't just be like he put on a different pair of pants, and like his shape looks different. Like he's just like pulling. He's just like doing a different. He lost a little weight. He's doing something different with his gut. He's like.
That just resulted in this
he's
weird
otherwise
byproduct
the same.
where Robotnik just happened. Like, there's like Eggman being a robot. Like, was occasionally a minor plot point in Archie, which would sometimes like take me by surprise because there was he had to look like Eggman, but it was a
right. Like, there's an issue drawn by Ron Lim where it is just like, look, he's a little creepy spider robot, and you're like, why is what? Yeah. But then eventually the BEM show up and de-roboticize the entire planet, including Eggman. So
I actually almost forgot about that.
And that's where the metal virus.
You're right. It's so important.
Right, because, Sonic met the BEM when he was lost in space, or tossed in space as the name was, and that's how he also found out that Tails' parents were alive and well, living with an alien civilization for some reason.
Yeah, we got a lot of crazy lore on that Lost in Space arc.
Yeah, that was also when Archie did their own version.
Oh yeah, so Sonic Super. Yeah, he fought Super Sonic, which I totally remember being like, wow, they're doing a Fleetway.
They're doing it right because it was Red Chaos.
Red Chaos. That's so. Oh, I wonder if that reminds me of anything like Red Kryptonite.
Right.
Isn't that also the same arc where they do the Planet of the Apes thing and reveal that Mobius is future Earth?
That's the issue right before. Like.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it all flows into each other, but yes, that's when you find out that Mobius is definitely future Earth. That's when you see mud creatures coming out, and you're like, oh yeah, the evolution, it's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. It's fine. It's all.
Yeah, we're getting into the weeds of Archie lore, but that's what people want, okay? That's what that's the specialized knowledge they crave. People love hearing about random Archie crap. I mean, I'm saying it almost, it sounds like I'm being facetious, but see the video views, random videos on YouTube get just talking about Archie Sonic crap. People love hearing about all the weird stuff in there. There's so much crazy stuff.
All right,
Thanks for the email, Wario. I mean, should we read any more emails, David? There's a lot of spam. I don't know if we want. Well, there's one. Here's one that says fit to print. Okay. From Eric Miller.
You're gonna read the full name out. Oh boy. Okay.
Read his address.
I'm not gonna read his address, but I will say that if you're an Eric Miller or a known Eric Miller, and they sent a fit to print, they might have said
1345 Elm Drive.
No. Okay, email begins. I'm a California baby, but I've been obsessed with Buffalo for a year now. I'm so happy to make it my new hometown, considering it birthed such legends as Ken Penders, Grant, and the one and only O.J. Simpson. Thank you. P.S. Get me into that Discord, please. Got to make a note here. O.J. Simpson is not from Buffalo. O.J. Simpson played for the Buffalo Bills, hated it, did not like Buffalo.
Okay.
But
because I was about to say we're adding another name to the Buffalo pile.
Yeah, no, he did play for the Buffalo Bills football team, but he's not from Buffalo originally. I don't think.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, thanks for that, Eric. Not really a question in there, but thanks for the, I guess, compliment. Okay, we have another email from. This is too long. But they're talking about how they love us, and that's nice. So thanks for that to folks who write in, and you can continue to writing, these emails and getting into the Discord and whatever, because we got to tell you now, I guess I'll be breaking the news to you, that we're going on a little break, just a little break, a summer vacation. We deserve a hiatus, don't you think? It's been kind of a while. And when is the trailer coming? Maybe it's coming in July. I don't know if it's coming in July. Who knows if it's coming in July? If it comes in July, we'll react to it in the Discord. You can email us, or just wait a couple weeks and we'll react to it when we're back, and we'll talk about it then. Our reactions will probably be, "Whoa, what the? Are you?" Get the
yeah, why don't we just record them now and then we'll release them?
You just have an editor take care of all that.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll close out.
Whoa, can you believe what they did with the Shadow's chest hair?
Whoa, that was epic. Oh, I can't believe Sonic just got shot in the head. It's incredible. Why did they put that in the trailer?
They said rating pending, but there's no way this is not a hard R. This is a very violent movie based on the trailer.
Oh, it's rated Penders.
That was a big reveal. Screenplay by Ken Penders.
Whoa. That's right. Sonic the Hedgehog 3: Armageddon is what it is.
It is weird that they chose to adapt the breastfeeding scene. I felt like, how did they know?
They've been working with him on the Laura Sue Chronicles for a long time.
I mean, Jim Carrey didn't need to breastfeed Shadow, but...
I'm not surprised that Sonic is pregnant, but I am...
I mean, the BioLizard being the co-parent, that was...
Exactly. That was a surprise.
Okay, the weirdest part of the trailer was when Mario showed up with the Smash Brothers invitation. Like, I guess they're trying to build a cinematic universe or something.
So those are our reactions to the Sonic 3 trailer. Pending.
Just imagine it in your head. You know what it'll be like. Just imagine it.
That's right. With a theme by the Goo Goo Dolls, who are from Buffalo, New York.
Hey, that's right. And they did not play this music that will be playing in the edit. But go ahead and take us out, David.
Whoa, that's right. I can hear the music. This wasn't written by the Goo Goo Dolls. It was written by Rihanna.
Yeah, she's famous.
It doesn't matter. Hey, you know what does matter? That you got through another episode of Sonic Weekly. That's right. The weekly Sonic the Hedgehog podcast, which is going on break, as it said. But you know what? During the weeks that we're off, if you feel the urge, you could go into our back catalog, listen to one of your favorites or an episode that you missed. You know, you can do that, of course, by listening to it on your podcatcher of choice, be it Apple Podcasts, be it Podcasts, be it Spotify, be it Podcast Addict, the exclusive Android time of podcasting. It's fun and great. And of course, while you're there, you should subscribe. You can review, give us a rating and a review. You can always do that in-app, whatever app that is. But hey, if you're not feeling the pod catching, subscribe to us on YouTube. It's at Sonic-Weekly. It's the same show, but with visuals provided to us by friend of the show, Jack of Old Games. It's usually themed to whatever we're talking about. Like last week, it was Garfield, one of the kart racers. I forget which one because they both look the same. And like we said, we did a little mailbag thing. You can email us, sonicweeklypodcast@gmail.com. Drop us a line. You can say fit to print or not. I mean, you can if you want to be doubly sure that we know it's okay to read your full name, address, and social security number. Don't actually send us the social security number. And of course, it's how you get the link to our Discord server. You email us, say, give me that link. And we say, here it is. And you can chat with some like-minded Sonic the Hedgehog fans. Oh, yeah. We don't always talk about Sonic, but there's a lot of Sonic, because that's what the show's about Sonic the Hedgehog. Once again, I want to thank our guest, Cybershell, for coming on in, talking a bit of Sonic. Want to thank Bo. Want to thank Grant. Want to thank Smoovies for the edit. Just use whichever one it is. Or want to thank Jack of All Games for the edit. Whoever's editing this, thank you. And of course, thank you, Bo and Grant, for doing a fist bump of Sonic proportions.
Thanks, Cybershell. Thank you, David.
Yeah, happy to be on. Happy to talk about Sonic, and also other Sonic tangentially related things.